Is your energy bill going up? Well, if you answered yes to this question, keep watching the episodes because we're gonna talk about drivers behind this. Hello, friends. You are watching another episode of the Green New Perspective podcast. If this is the first time on your channel, welcome. This is a place where you can learn about innovative technologies from the experts in the space. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button, follow us, and of course, leave us comments. Tell us what you liked and what you disliked. We really appreciate your feedback here. My guest today is Adam Cain from Electricity Rates, a consumer platform that helps people understand and compare energy options in deregulated markets. His background is in marketing and technology, and the focus of his work today is translating how energy system actually works and how those changes are reflecting on our energy bills. So in today's conversation, we are going to look what's behind the rising energy costs and what we as consumers can actually do about it. So if this is something that piques your interest, stay tuned and watch the conversation.
This episode of Green New Perspective is brought to you by New Perspective Marketing. For over 20 years, New Perspective has helped future-focused B2B tech companies grow by building thought leadership, attracting better qualified leads, and driving pipeline growth. If you're ready for smart strategies, measurable results, and a partner who's invested in your success, visit npws.com to learn more.
Hello, Adam, and welcome to the Green New Perspective podcast.
Hi, Danya.
So for starters, can you tell us more about yourself to me and to our audience, and what drew you to this energy space that we're going to talk about in this episode?
Yeah, definitely. My name is Adam Cain, and I have been in the marketing and technology world for almost 20 years now, coming from a background in various industries like staffing and higher education. And about 6 years ago, I found myself applying my marketing and technology background to the energy space at electricityrates.com, which is a part of Power Target. What we do at Power Target is we are a technology company that helps homeowners and businesses understand their energy choices and what's a rather complex industry and help connect them with various offers from retail energy providers and other companies that are helping to save them on their bill. And we've helped a little over 250,000 customers, homeowners and businesses that have come through our platform find better energy choices since we got started.
And how has your role evolved as the industries keep on shifting?
Yeah, definitely. So what we're finding is that there is a significant amount of either misinformation or under-education about people's energy bills and how they can control them and what they can do about it. And this has been accelerated over the past couple of years just due to the rising costs of pretty much every consumer good, including energy. So what we found is that it's extremely important. And one of the reasons why I'm on this podcast to get better information out there that people can understand and more importantly, just about the decisions that they're making.
Well, you mentioned misunderstanding basically the market. So in your own words, what space does the company occupy and what problems are you solving for consumers?
Sure. So we think of ourselves as sort of an intermediary for our industry, kind of like TripAdvisor or Kayak or any of those other consumer websites where somebody can unpack their options from a trusted third-party resource. What we're seeing is that energy choice and restructuring has caused a lot of confusion. There are a lot of conflicting priorities and things that are driving people to do things that they do. For example, for the longest time, people dealt with door-to-door sales and people trying to get them to sign up for energy plans at their door because they're getting paid for every person they get signed up for, and people had no clue what they were signing up for. So one of the things we try to do is people search for things like, why is my bill so high? And then we provide education around these questions, then help kind of steer them in the right path towards solutions that are offered through the energy companies that we partner with.
So when you think about brands, let's say early vision and where it stands today, what parts of that identity have stayed core and what's evolved?
Yeah, definitely. So when energy choice started in the late 90s, the goal was for retail energy providers to compete with each other and drive down energy prices for consumers and businesses across the board. And while that's millions and millions of people in America since then, there have been a number of factors along the way that have caused the train to derail a little bit.
And for our listeners who don't know much about energy policies, what's important to understand?
Yeah, definitely. I think the world is changing. Nobody could have predicted the proliferation of AI data centers and having to charge electric vehicles at home and things like electric heat pumps, which are great for energy efficiency and way more efficient than heating oil in the way that we used to power our water heater at home. The strain that these things are putting on the grid and the just what that means for what you're ultimately paying on your energy bill and the bottom line. And that's something that we try to unpack for people so at least they understand it a little better.
And you've mentioned a couple of times by now the energy cost that keeps on rising. So in your view, what forces are driving this predictability, let's say?
Yeah. So, like I said, our current grid was designed back in the 50s and 60s when people had to turn the lights on and maybe power a couple small appliances and a refrigerator, and that was it. The people that designed that system back then could never have predicted what is going on now with the electrification of everything, EVs, AI, heat pumps, except like I had mentioned. So what all of that is forcing utility companies to do is massively invest in upgrading so they can still provide a reliable and sustainable grid. And those costs have to get paid by somebody somewhere. So that's a lot of what we're seeing. And I think a common misconception is that it's due to extremely recent political factors and other happenings in local areas. And that's really not the case. I mean, this has been coming for a really long time, and utilities are finally starting to address it.
And operating this market is, like we mentioned a couple of times, quite unpredictable. So operating in a market that changes from month to month, how do you think about staying flexible, both as a team and as a product?
Yeah, so the main value that we deliver to our customers is transparent fixed rate energy plans. So at the very least, somebody can come to our website and they might be able to save a little bit immediately, but more importantly, they're able to lock in their energy rate so they know it won't change for 6, 12, up to 24 months. So that's offering immediate price stability. The other important trend that we're seeing is people want control. In the past, the way that you interacted with your energy was extremely passive. People got their bill once a month. It might have been higher or lower. They might have like grumbled a little bit, but they paid it and went on with their lives. I think consumers nowadays are much more informed. There's an app for everything where you can control everything. And we're also seeing that in the energy industry. So people want to control how much energy they're using. They want to control what they're paying for it.
And when you look at how people shop for electricity plans, what surprised you most about the average consumer understanding?
I think that what surprises me the most is that people are not only driven by price, which seemed to be the case when we started Power Target a little over a decade ago. People came in if they could save money immediately, they liked what they saw. And if they couldn't, then they just waited until an energy company had a better offer. But nowadays, I think that people are really locked into that budget certainty that I mentioned. And then knowing that like, hey, if the entire world collapses in the next, for lack of a better metaphor, in the next 12 months, at least my energy bill is going to be consistent. So we're seeing people really place a value on stability and trust over the prospect of immediately saving money on their bill.
And helping people navigate something as technical as energy rates takes clarity. So what approaches have you found that actually move the needle in making this accessible?
Yeah, definitely. So along with our technology platform, we have sort of a content marketing engine that takes really complex things like public utility commission meeting notes and technical energy contract documents and distills them to things that people can read and digest and get key takeaways from for what it means to them. So for example, One of the factors right now that's driving energy prices up here in the Mid-Atlantic area is something called the PJM interconnection auction. And what that is it's the auction for the next several years of energy and what utilities from Ohio to Pennsylvania to Maryland and New Jersey and a few other states are paying. And that's a major factor in what people are ultimately paying for energy. Does anybody know what PJM means or what they do? For the most part, no. Did we before we started researching it? Very little understanding, but it's important and it helps dispel some of the myths and some of the misinformation.
And what's been the feedback there?
People love it.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things every morning is getting onto our social media profiles and seeing the response to some of the information that we're putting out there. And we consistently see comments like, thank you so much for helping break this down and helping make this understandable, or at least giving me something I can something I can bring up when my neighbors are arguing about how much money they're paying for energy. So yeah, it's been pretty positive.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think that I would need something similar to decide, you know. It seems like you've been, let's say, in a room for a lot of industry conversations. So what themes are standing out to you where the demand is headed?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the huge buzzword in all of the conferences and meetings that we've been in with people across the energy are, what do these massive AI data centers that are coming online mean for end consumers, and how are we going to pay for all of this energy that we need to power these things? And I think one of the interesting things that's come about is a new type of legislation called pay their fair share. And it has a lot of different names in a lot of different places, but it basically means like, if you want to put this massive, like power hungry data center on the grid, then you also need to pay to update the grid in that area so that homeowners and small businesses don't have to foot the cost to upgrade, to make all these infrastructure upgrades. That's one of the really huge factors and a reason to be hopeful through all of this change.
Yeah, we've already talked about how much more people are informed with EVs, smart homes, data centers, like you mentioned, expanding rapidly. Where do you see the biggest pressure points or opportunities emerging?
Yeah, so the other big shift that has been fascinating is there's a little bit of a power shift in terms of who is able to move the needle. In the past, utility companies and lobbyists were able to get pretty much whatever they wanted pushed through without much pushback. An educated consumer is a dangerous consumer that we've found. So what we found is that people are getting louder. People are talking to their local representatives and they're having conversations, which are leading to things like I had mentioned, like the pay their fair share bill. So what we're finding is that the individual consumer, because of the information available in the education, and frankly, people are pissed off about their bill a lot more than they used to be. It's causing movement that we haven't seen in our industry, which is also a reason for a little optimism.
I would say that like misunderstanding is the word that describes this conversation. And I would say there's no shortage of headlines about AI draining the grid. So from your point of view, what feels grounded in reality and what's more like noise when we talk about this topic?
I think it's a scapegoat, to be honest. It's an oversimplification of a much more complex problem. And it's easy to point fingers at corporations because they're big, bad corporations and use buzzwords like AI data center, but it's much more complex than that.
Now let's go back to the consumer. When someone opens a utility bill that's higher than they expected, what realistic options they have, and where does a platform like yours fit into that moment?
Yeah, definitely. So for people looking to save money on their bill, there are 13 states with various levels of energy choice or restructured energy markets. So in those areas like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Massachusetts, Connecticut, those people can come to electricityrates.com, enter their zip code, see rates available in their area. And then if they see one that they want to switch to, make the switch in a couple of minutes. Now that only covers a quarter to a third of the country. I think that for all of the people in areas without energy choice, there are a lot of options. There are things like community solar. which is basically a flat savings on your bill by signing up with a local community solar farm in your area. There's really no catch and no reason people shouldn't be signing up for them in the areas that they're available in. And then we're seeing people take control over the energy that they're using. I think that we're almost at an inflection point where most homes in America have a smart thermostat. So people are able to control when their thermostat is set at what temperature. And that's a huge way to save energy. And as well as things like smart plugs and smart devices, just helping control the amount of energy that people are using if they can't control the rate that they're paying for that energy. So again, another reason for optimism as these technologies evolve and become easier to use and more accessible to everyday users.
I love that we're focusing on optimism. How does the experience on electricity rates actually work behind the scenes to help people make a confident choice?
Yeah, definitely. So ingest thousands of live energy rates every day and then display them to customers in a easy to digest and more importantly, a non-pushy way. So our entire goal is transparency. If you want to sign up for a new rate that's better than the one that you're currently paying, then go for it. If not, then we're not like a telemarketer or a door-to-door salesperson that is kind of forcing you to make a decision. So we value trust and transparency in relationships over getting an immediate sort of transaction or somebody to sign up for an energy plan on our site. And as a result, that's kind of helped us grow and become a trusted source in our industry.
Now you're seeing shifts in how consumers evaluate renewable or green energy options. And what does that mean for your platform's roadmap?
Yeah, so we do have specific green energy plans on our site, which are backed by something called a renewable energy certificate. So you still get the same energy to your house. You were just helping offset some of the carbon component on the grid when you do sign up for one of those plans. It's a small set of customers that go for those specifically, primarily due to them being a little more expensive than standard energy plans. What we are seeing, though, are some of our providers like Rhythm Energy and Inspire Clean Energy, is that their entire business model is predicated on offering cleaner energy options to consumers. So we're seeing it appear more so in the branding through our partners and the way that they procure their energy products instead of like very specific things that customers are seeking out. And then the community solar piece is huge. People love that they can save a certain percentage no matter what on their bill every month and that it comes from community solar. So that's I think a huge um emerging factor in the industry as well.
We had a couple of community solar representatives here on the podcast, so I'm glad to hear that field is blooming. That's also on the optimistic side of this conversation. So when I was prepping for this interview, I saw that you said that electricity rate was built by people who love both marketing and tech. So how has that DNA shaped the way you think about growth, trust, and user experience?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I had mentioned, we were sort of born out of marketing and technology nerds that were looking for an industry in need of a little bit of disruption. And we found it in the retail energy space a little over a decade ago. And what I like to think that gives us a little bit of an advantage of in our industry is that we're constantly looking at what other industries are doing and what other technologies are available in order to be on the bleeding edge and integrating it. So like leveraging AI to help digest these massive amounts of like energy data and energy contracts and pricing information, and then distilling that into very digestible and understandable content and messaging that our users can relate to, as well as just always being on the lookout for like, hey, is there an industry like insurance or credit cards or whatever that is doing something really cool from a technology standpoint that even though the energy industry is usually a little behind, we can help bring it forward a little bit. So just constantly out there thinking about how we can take things that other extremely like cutting edge technologies are doing and applying them to our vision.
Yeah, talking about bringing this whole story forward. What's exciting you most about the next chapter, whether in consumer behavior, product evolution, energy industry?
Yeah, so from a consumer behavior standpoint, there is a lot of discourse about energy. Like I said, we had gone from sort of a passive consumer that got their bill once a month, sent a check, went on with their lives, to people that are on social media and talking to their representatives and reading content on electricityrates.com and extremely interested in their options. And I think that what that's going to do is drive companies to innovate and meet the needs of these customers that in the past, like, either weren't aware or weren't educated. So market's continuing to grow. I think that all of this activity is causing things like innovation and new technology, in addition to some of the macro factors that we discussed. So it's rather chaotic at the moment, but also exciting for a company like ours that's able to be nimble and flexible and kind of go where the market's taking us.
And for our audience who just got interested about your story, where can they hear more or maybe explore your product?
Yeah, definitely. So electricityrates.com is our primary website, and you can go there, and if you're in an energy choice area, enter your zip code and see live rates in your area. But there's also a wealth of knowledge. I think we cover local energy options in almost every area of the country. And there's a lot of things that you can learn from our site and from engaging with us.
Well, thank you, Adam. This has been interesting and useful. So, yeah, thanks you once again for being my guest here on the Green New Perspective podcast.
Thank you, Danya.
Thank you for tuning in to Green New Perspective. This podcast is proudly sponsored by New Perspective. We are a Boston-based marketing agency working with Cleantech clients solely for over 20 years now. And if you want to check out how we help our Cleantech clients to grow, you can click on the link in the description of this episode. If you like what we do here with the podcast, giving some amazing people from all over the clean tech space a place where they can showcase their innovative tech aimed at combating climate change, you can support us in so many ways. You can leave reviews, comments, or consider subscribing to our channel on your favorite streaming platform. We've noticed that around 75% of you who are regularly watching our show are not subscribing. So just by hitting that subscribe button, you could help us to grow, to get even more people from the climate tech space and create additional content. So please consider doing that. Thank you in advance. And of course, thank you for tuning in to this episode, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.